What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing a beer from the Ballast Point Brewing Company, and they're out of San Diego, California, and this is their Victory at Sea. So they're calling this one an Imperial Porter with coffee and vanilla. Comes in at 10% alcohol by volume, 60 IBUs at the time of review. This can is approximately 10 and a half months old. And I want to give a huge thanks and shout out once again to a friend of mine and viewer of the channel, Billy, for hooking me up with this one. So big thanks to him for this beer. In the description box, I'll post a link to the beer mail unboxing video I did that contains all the goodies he hooked me up with. And this is the final beer of the beer mail he sent my way that I am reviewing. And huge thanks to Billy once again for all the beers. And this is a beer, full disclosure, I have had before, but I've also reviewed this beer. I did a side-by-side of this and the peanut butter version a couple years ago, maybe like almost 3 years ago at this point. And this is a beer that I've always enjoyed. I've had it fresh. I've had it 5 and 6 months old. I've had it a couple years old. I have never had it almost 1 year old, which is why I'm re-reviewing this one. Typically, I don't re-review beers, but Billy was nice enough to send it. In addition to, I've never had this one aged to this level, say almost 1 year old, and I just want to give it a go. And another cool thing is I've had this one in the 22-ounce bombers. I've had it in a 12-ounce bottle, and I've also never had it in a can. So we are going to do the 16-ounce can. Yeah, Ballast Point. I've always really enjoyed Sculpin. I really like this beer and all the variants and the barrel aged variants. We don't see Ballast Point all that often anymore here in the West York area. It's very rare to see some of their beers, so it's disappointing. I like their stuff, but yeah. Anyway, thanks to Billy for sending this one. It's been a while. The last time I had this was when I reviewed it, like I said, a couple years ago. So be fun to see how this one is. Now, I think as far as like preferences go on this beer and what my preference is in terms of age, I like this one quite fresh, and I liked it with a couple years on it. The 5 and 6 month old variants, I feel like they were kind of like their unfortunate spot of the aging, where like the coffee started dying out, but the vanilla didn't come to the forefront. I feel like age, the vanilla kind of dominates and the coffee dies out, but fresh, it's the opposite. So I'm curious to see with 1 year where those adjuncts are. So anyway, that's a beautiful looking Imperial Porter, pitch black. Probably gonna look pitch black on camera. It's pitch black right now where I sit. About a finger and a half of this straight up brown colored head, or really creamy looking. Some alcohol legs on the glass, some condensation. This was right out of my darker beer fridge at 52. So we're probably looking about 55 degrees, which I'd imagine is perfect drinking temperature for this one. It smells great. So what I always get out of this is like vanilla cold brew. That's what I've always gotten out of the nose of this one. Now again, depending on the age of the beer, sometimes the actual coffee dominates, other times the vanilla. Right now, it's a great blend of the two. Yeah, just vanilla cold brew. Maybe even like a mocha cold brew, because I'm getting like a sweeter dark chocolate in addition to the vanilla. Yeah, so vanilla, dark chocolate, coffee. There's a little underlying like kind of malt sensation, roasty, maybe like a sweet cherry, molasses. Ooh, that mocha cold brew, vanilla cold brew is just dominating. It's so delightful, this nose. It smells sweet, but not crazy sweet. There's a little bit of like an earthy kind of bitterness that I'm kind of getting out of this one that probably is going to translate into the palate. The aroma on this is like super high rating, right? It's like the aroma is fucking intoxicating. Yeah, it smells awesome. Thanks again, Billy. Cheers, everybody. Let's see what this one has to offer. Such a fucking good beer. It's just a good beer. Man. It's a bummer that I don't see Ballast Point here in Buffalo anymore. If you do, you see drips and drabs. Sometimes I'll randomly see like their Sculpin in a mixed 6-pack at a Wegmans grocery store. But the days of them having like all their Sculpin show up when they used to do like habanero Sculpin and grapefruit Sculpin, this beer, the barrel-aged variants, the other variants, like even up to like 3 or 4 years ago, I think we saw the peppermint variant of this, the peanut butter one. I also think, didn't they do a coconut one? I think it was a coconut one that should, like all of those, like they would show up. I haven't seen their stuff in probably a couple years regularly, so that's very disappointing. Anyway, body and mouthfeel. Body in this one's like lower side of full to like medium full. Has a half. A lot of times, nowadays, when it comes to styles, especially like porters and stouts. Where do you draw the line on what's a porter, what's a stout? My interpretation and this is the way I feel. This is probably not correct in general, but I always feel like porters, a little less roasted malt quality and typically a bit thinner as far as the body goes. That's just kind of where I place them. And this drinks more like an imperial stout. It has a bigger body, and there's more of like a roasted kind of almost cherry malt sensation. But the body's really nice. The mouthfeel, it's soft, it's smooth, it's creamy, it's carbonated to let you know, hey, this is a 10% Imperial Porter. It definitely has carbonation, but it's almost like there's lactose in here. That's how soft and how creamy the palate is. It's really nice. I love the lacing. Lacing is fantastic. The taste, this is, I think, more to the 5 and 6 month range as opposed to the couple years for me. The coffee's prevalent, still there. Hasn't fallen off. It hasn't turned into like, sometimes that coffee character would turn into like a green pepper type of thing, some kind of astringency to it. It's not there. But right at the forefront, you get a little bit of roasted malt. It's a little bit of like a slight charring type of thing going on. A little bit of sweet cherry. As it passes through, the coffee is the first adjunct that hits. Then after that, the vanilla hits, and then there's a dark chocolate. So it starts off as like almost like a black coffee, but then it snowballs into a mocha cold brew because the coffee kind of dissipates, the vanilla and dark chocolate kind of come to the forefront and all intertwines and makes for, again, a mocha like cold brew. That's what I'm kind of left with on the back of the palate. This is slightly dry, more to the sweet side, but there is like a firm, moderate bitterness. Might be coming from the coffee, might be coming from that earthiness, the little charred malt thing all mixing in. So this is, right now, this is drinking exceptionally well from a balance standpoint. Like, it's not overly sweet, it's not astringent, there's not too much dryness or bitterness. Everything blends together pretty well. I think this is a very, dare I say, quaffable and drinkable 11 or 10% Imperial Porter with coffee and vanilla. I think when I did this versus the peanut butter, I think I gave both of those like around like a low 4.25. I think like 4.15. I'm 4.2, something like that. When I have this one fresh, I typically give it around a like a high 4.25, low 4.5, depending on how I feel. Aged, definitely low 4.5. So I think, again, this is closer to the 5 and 6 month range than it is the fresh or super aged one. But I like this a little bit more than the 5 and 6 month aged one. I think there's a little bit, I don't know, I think the balance is just better. I do. I should have went back and watched that comparison review, and I could have told you exactly what I thought about it and what the differences are, but I'm not good at beer tubing, so here we are. Anyway, this is really tasty. I'm going to one more sip, and then I'm going to come in with a rating, firm rating. Really good. Just really good. Victory at Sea from Ballast Point. I have no problems giving this a straight 4.25 out of 5. I think that's a fair score for what I'm drinking right here. Again, this is 10.5 months old, and I think it's closer to the 5 and 6 month aged versions of this that I've had, but it's not far off from the fresh and aged. I think though the fresh, obviously everything pops more. The adjuncts are more intense. I think it just works better. And I think aged, I really like the vanilla coming to the forefront more and drinking more like, again, a really strong vanilla cold brew. This has hints of that, or this is more mocha because I think that chocolate's working a little bit more, even though there is no chocolate, but like the chocolate from the malt. But 4.25 out of 5, really good beer. And this is a shelfie beer as far as I know. So price and availability, I don't know what price point on this one is. I don't even remember what they were when they were, I think, in 6-packs of 12-ounce bottles. The Bombers, I think, were like 10, 12 bucks. This is a 16-ounce can. Honestly, if this was on the shelf and I wanted to pick it up, I had no problems paying like $6 to $7 for that can. Like, I'd have no problems doing so. I'd imagine these are probably like $20 a 4-pack. So Billy, let me know what you paid for this one, because it's going to be probably better price point than what I think. And then availability, it's Ballast Point. I don't know. If you get Ballast Point, this is like one of their staples. You should see it. Again, I have not seen Victory at Sea in at least a couple years. I've certainly not seen them in 16-ounce cans. So even though I've reviewed this one before, I've had it numerous times, I can't thank you enough, Billy, for sending this one my way, because it's been cool to drink this one out of the 16-ounce can and kind of reminisce about this beer, and cool that it's 10.5 months old. And I've never had it aged to this. I mean, just look at that fucking beer. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful looking beer. And I know a lot of times appearance doesn't mean anything, but you know, a lot of times they say with food, you eat with your eyes, right? And I think that's the same case when it comes to beer. Like, you drink with your eyes. You see something, an Imperial Porter with coffee and vanilla that looks that fucking great, and you can't help be excited. And maybe I'm rating this a little bit higher than I should. I don't know. But then there's beers lately I've had that look like absolute shit in the glass, and then it tastes like shit in the glass. So I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent. If you've had this one before, and I would assume a lot of you have had this one before, post in the comment section. If you watch this, please, just in this review, I ask in every review, post in the comment section, have you had Victory? If you had any of the variants, if you had any of the barrel-aged variants, let me know what you think about it, because I think this is one of those underrated brews that has been for a good 10 plus years, and it's just fucking really good. Not much more to say. Oh yeah, fucking alcohol. I haven't talked about the ABV. I can tell this is bigger. A little warming into the chest, nothing on the palate. 10%, I don't know if I'd guess. Maybe I'd guess like 9. Hides the alcohol pretty well, all things considered. So, not much more to say. Thanks to Billy. Thanks to everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. Till the next one, cheers.